rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Wow, that wave came in really loud. Oh, yes, that's right. It is one of my fall, autumn, well, this one in particular, I'm down at the beach. Well, you know, anyway, if you have to ask. All right, let's go ahead and get things kicked off tonight. Tonight we have Pops McGroin and partner up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat, if you're wearing one, like me, and place your hand over your heart. And follow along with Pops and partner in the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
I apologize for that. That came in a little loud from the beach. It kind of covered them up. I didn't realize that they were that low. But anyway, all right. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email or share it to me. Send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. I am looking for number 20. I have 19, and I'd love to get number 20. I like even numbers. So anyway, go ahead and do that. That would be fantastic. All right, tonight's headline sponsor is the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up. And while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online to get great content to learn about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's iotc.americanperspective.online. Or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show, go to constitution.americanperspective.online. Take a look at this fantastically sexy rounded corner book right here. And remember that each purchase of the rounded corner book will cause liberals to have digestive issues. Not quite sure why you would want that, but okay. I still think it's fun. Anyway, it's 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. Don't forget, folks, there's no cheap glue here. All of the pages are wrapped together with this wonderful stitching. Goes all the way through the leather and the pages contained within. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if something happens to this book during that time, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is good old Buddy tested, Buddy approved. Billy tasted, Billy approved. My youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you study for your civics badge in Scouts. It'll also probably help you to study for your civics exam, if you still have those. So all of this, of course, is available by going to constitution.americanperspective.online. That's constitution.americanperspective.online to get yours today. Stocking stuffer. Christmas is coming. Stocking stuffer. That's right. It's perfect fit, too. It just slides right in. You know, goes right into the bottom of the stocking. It's awesome. Anyway, I would appreciate it if you would go and check out the Institute on the Constitution and all of their offerings. And I thank them for allowing me to be a brand affiliate of theirs. All right. So, first things first, of course, today, here, it is October 7th, the anniversary of the horrendous and horrific attack on Israel by Hamas. And I just got to tell you, yeah, some people, some stupid people, like Ma'am Danny, the mayor candidate, the mayoral candidate up in New York, he believes that Israel started it. Israel started it. No, they didn't. And in fact, the New York Post put together a great little video. I'm just going to play a small portion of it, but a great little video with regards to it. Let's go ahead and take a quick listen. All right. Well, for those of you who are on the audio portion of the program, I just want to back up just a little bit. On this day in 2023, I'm going to play it a little bit again. 251 hostages were taken captive. In a single day, it became the largest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. Yeah. So, just so you're aware, yeah, there was a lot. And it occurred, of course, on October 7th of 2023. Folks, anybody who sits here and says that Israel was the one to start this war is a complete, utter, stupid moron. Hamas had the Gaza Strip all to themselves since 2006. I think it was the end of 2006, 2007. They had it. They were elected in an election, although there's some question as to whether or not that election was actually proper. But that being said, they were elected to be the leaders in Gaza, and they did nothing but squander it. And then they decided on October 7th in 2023. Now, don't forget, this was right after Joe Biden released $6 billion to Iran. Got to throw that in there because a lot of people forget that. Well, this jackass, Zohran Mamdani, seems to think that, yeah, it was the Israeli government launching a genocidal war in Gaza. Now, you can watch the video further. It does say viewer discretion advised, but it goes through and shows you the footage that was taken by Hamas during the attack, where they are grabbing people, grabbing hostages, raping and murdering women and children, beating and killing the men almost immediately, going into people's homes, their little kibbutz, is what they call them. They're little towns. Going into the kibbutzes and just randomly going through and murdering any Jewish person that they run across. Murdering children, having the children watch as these animals literally go in there and rape and murder their moms, their sisters. It's just horrible. There's images that came out from there that had, people, they were taking bodies and like throwing them into the trucks that they had in their Jeeps, and, people who had broken legs and even like a superstar, because they invaded a rock concert. This was on a Sunday, and they invaded a rock concert. They attacked people leaving the rock concert, and they would trap them and get them and put them into these vehicles and then take them back across the border and hold them as hostages. Folks, this is the left. This guy right here, I'm showing his picture on the screen. This is the left. Ma'am Danny says, in the aftermath of that day, Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli government launched a genocidal war. Well, no shit. The worst day since the Holocaust against Jews, and you wanted them to just sit and do nothing. You're a dumbass. He continued, every day in Gaza has become a place where grief has run out of language, where grief itself has run out of language. Well, saying simple point, jackass, I'm just going to tell you, October 6th, both the Israelis and the Gazans were living together just fine. There was nothing going on that. I mean, what a jerk. I can't even say, enough bad words about this guy. If New York elects this asshole, yeah, they deserve whatever they get, good and hard. That's all I'm going to say. Because this guy is just absolutely horrible. He said he mourns the victims of Hamas and prays for the safe return of every hostage still held, but yet still calls out the Israelis for their genocidal attack. It wasn't a genocidal attack, folks. Hamas has existed for quite some time, has been the thorn in the Israeli side for quite some time. Israel finally said, hey, you guys want a two-state solution? Okay, we're backing out of Gaza. You can have it. They wanted to actually give it back to the Egyptians where it came from. And the Egyptians are like, yeah, we don't want it. We don't want it at all. Yeah. What a just absolute sick and disgusting individual. If you vote for that asshole, yeah, you're just as much of an idiot and a moron. And a stupid one at that. All right. Well, enough about that. I just saw that and it just disgusts me. Anyway, let's move on to another disgusting individual. Jack Smith. Yes, that's right. Jack Smith has now been outed. Apparently, some documents have been uncovered that basically demonstrate that Jack Smith was actually watching GOP senators. That he was spying on them. Folks, you remember Watergate? Do you remember when, the whole Nixon thing came out? Oh my gosh, Nixon, he went and they broke into the Democrat National Headquarters in the Watergate building. And that was like for decades, that was like the, shall we say, the most black eye, the biggest black eye that politics has had in America for decades. Everybody talked about Watergate, regardless of whether the fact that Nixon, first of all, never admitted to the fact that he actually did anything or even knew anything about it. Everybody kind of thinks that he did, but realistically, nobody was able to actually tie him to it. But here we have in front of us the entire Biden administration, the 4 years that Biden was in office. Technically, even earlier than that, because Biden's been corrupt as the day is long, and for as long as he's been at his age, and for as long as he's been in government. But to sit here and talk about spying, not only the Russiagate, which tracks back to Obama, by the way, as well as Hillary Clinton, the whole Russiagate scandal, that just emboldened the Democrats and allowed them to go and, I guess they decided that, hey, we're just going to, double down. We're going to double down on this thing, even though they already did it for Russiagate and they got caught doing it. So according to the FBI, which was working under Smith's direction, they had call logs and metadata tied to nearly a dozen Republican senators, including Senator Hawley, who was the one that tore into Jack Smith about it. The tracking, and by the way, this is all part of the investigation into the Capitol riot, which was not an insurrection. And now that we come to find out that the FBI had, 274 individuals there, along with confidential human sources, maybe a part of that number, maybe not. Who the hell knows? Nobody seems to know. And that a bunch of the MPD officers actually goaded people into doing it. Yeah, okay. Jumping the barriers and breaking into the Capitol building. Sounds to me a little bit like entrapment, if you ask me. But then again, what do I know? But anyway, Fox News reported that they obtained all these logs. The tracking involved call records, timestamps, but not the content of the conversations. Hawley told Fox News Digital on Monday that the newly released documents suggested that the Biden administration was spying on the president's political opponents, which he called basically a profound violation of the separation of powers. Not to mention a profound violation of just the simplest of principles in this country, which is the right to privacy. The right to be secure in your papers and personal effects. I believe that's something like, the Fourth Amendment, maybe? Anyway, Hawley stated that this activity fits with what he views as part of a broader pattern of executive overreach under Biden, citing the alleged surveillance of Catholic churches, parents at school board meetings, social media censorship. Oh, yeah, but, the Biden administration didn't have any scandals whatsoever. Yeah, nope. Hawley wrote on X, quote, "The truth comes out. Biden's Stasi, who claimed to be saving our sacred democracy, in fact worked overtime to destroy it, all for power. They spied on Catholic churches, prosecuted pro-lifers, deployed the FBI against parents at school board meetings, and tried to tap the phones of their political enemies, including mine." Well, let's not forget that Obama actually used the IRS to go after nonprofits, conservative-run nonprofits, and was caught at it. Anyway, Hawley continues and says, "This is an abuse of power beyond Watergate, beyond J. Edgar Hoover, one that directly strikes at the Constitution, the separation of powers, the First Amendment. We need a full investigation of all involved, who knew about it, who ordered it, and who approved it. Anyone and everyone who violated the law must be prosecuted. The way to save this country is to restore the rule of law." Yeah. So, anyway, I'm going to include with that the Fourth Amendment for sure. All right. So, the senator pointed out that It's obviously totally partisan, adding that he's proud to have called out what he described as an abuse of power by the FBI. He also said the alleged conduct was dangerous, very, very dangerous for the country. No kidding. Yeah, I agree with you, Holly. This is definitely worse than Watergate. He activated the entire government to go after anybody who dared oppose Biden, the Biden administration. Yep. So that's the FBI, the DOJ, and the DHS. All to go after people like that. Yeah. Now, Holly frames the controversy as a test of constitutional limits, but yeah, there's more than that. It's also breaking down our institutions that everybody should have trusted, or should trust, realistically. Well, don't trust it anymore. Don't trust it anymore. I'm telling you, we are breaking down big time. We have been for years, since the Democrats have decided to go complete Marxist on us. All right, folks. You know what? Okay, let me go over here and let's find a... yeah, okay, let's talk about gold. And I'm not talking about like Bob Menendez gold. All right, did you know the biggest threat to your retirement is not something that's actually talked about often? Our increased longevity in America means default retirement accounts like IRAs, 401ks, and TSPs may not suffice. If you have over $100,000 in your retirement account, get instant access to a free 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals. From Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one step you can take to secure your financial future. Text the word SAFE, S-A-F-E, to 35052 today. Once again, text SAFE, S-A-F-E, to 35052 today, and you'll get that instant access to a free 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one step you can take to secure your financial future. Once again, text SAFE, S-A-F-E, to 35052 today. All right. Well, the Senate is still trying to, still attempting to get us past this shutdown. But, yeah, they held a 6 vote, and, no, gotta know. They rejected 2 proposals to fund the government. So the first one, obviously, was the Republican clean extension, which the Democrats hate. And that basically, the Democrats are doing it because of this health care. They want to keep fighting this health care kind of thing. The Democrats are demanding health care changes. Yeah. And let me just tell you, there's a long list of healthcare changes that they are attempting to try and push. Now, some of this healthcare stuff, and the Washington Post actually has an opinion piece. The editorial board did an opinion piece on this. And they actually came down on the side of the Republicans on this one. They actually came down on the side of the Republicans on this one. So you know, obviously they point out in the Washington Post, and here I might as well just go ahead and show you this. So here's the Post. Here's the Washington Post's article. They start off with the idea that, hey, as the partial government shutdown enters its second week, neither party is leveling with the American people about the hard choices required to get federal spending off a fiscally ruinous trajectory. So they're focusing, the Washington Post editorial board is focusing on the fact that we are almost $38 trillion in debt right now, which we are. And they're critical of the fact that Joe Biden and the congressional Democrats used COVID-19 to justify chasing the mirage of a European-style welfare state without raising the necessary taxes to pay for it. And this is where we hit the problem. So the Biden and his people, by the way, they wanted to extend what was sold in 2021, or they're looking to extend what is sold in 2021 as emergency subsidies to help people struggling during the pandemic to afford health insurance. And this is what it's all about. See, a lot of that stuff is set to expire. It was temporary. That's the whole point, is it was temporary. And a lot of this stuff was set to expire anyway, but as a part of the one big beautiful bill, Trump actually added some things to take care of that stuff. Now, obviously, Trump did this as a part of the tax cuts, extending the tax cuts for it, but they were unwilling to make deep enough cuts to go ahead and pay for them. So the bill that Trump signed on July 4th will reduce spending by $1.1 trillion over the next decade, but that's offset by the $4.5 trillion of tax cuts. Now, keep in mind, the way this is being worded is particularly the Washington Post, because what they're basically saying is that the tax cuts that were put in play are designed, basically in their mind, and this is in the Democrats' mind, is that these tax cuts mean that there's going to be no revenues coming in. And we all know from past experience that that just isn't the case. And not only that, but there's not even a single mention of the tariffs and the tariff collection that has been going on since the tariffs have been enacted. So, yeah. Basically, what we're talking about here is essentially a balancing act that the Republicans are attempting to make, and that the Democrats want to upset the apple cart. So, when you take a look at what the Democrats are attempting to do, this is the big piece. Now, I mentioned this in another episode a while ago, but I didn't really dig too deep into it. But here, this is the big thing, okay? So Democrats are demanding that Congress resume the premium subsidy policies that open the door for illegal aliens to actually receive government benefits. All of this was done because of COVID-19. And it was passed by the Democrats under, let's see, what is it? Yeah. Under the, oh shoot, I gotta find the name of it. I think it was the, anyway, yeah, I can't think of what it is, but I can't think of the name of the bill. But it was one of the bills that Biden passed, not the Inflation Reduction Act, but the other one. Anyway, So one of the biggest challenges, of course, that you have is the fact that there are several provisions that the Democrats are proposing as a part of their continuing resolution to repeal. And these are all things that came under the One Big Beautiful Bill that was signed in July. So here's what they are looking to attempt. These are the bigger ones, but these are the bigger ones that are affecting all of this. Now, you tell me whether or not this actually, who does this help? So the first one is Section 71109, which is the alien Medicaid eligibility. Now, this particular piece in the One Big Beautiful Bill changed the immigration terminology that is used to determine whether an individual is eligible for Medicaid benefits. The change narrowed the eligibility to U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, certain Cubans and Haitians in the U.S., and residents via the Compact of Free Association, meaning the Federated States of Micronesia and the Republic of the Marshall Islands. Previously, the benefits were available to be a broader set of, quote, qualified aliens, which included immigration parolees and asylees. Then they want to roll back the next section, which is Section 1110, and that's the expansion of the federal Medicaid match rate for emergency Medicaid. So this particular provision in the One Big Beautiful Bill reduced the FMAP, which is the federal Medicaid match rate, for emergency services provided to unlawfully present aliens in the states that expanded Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act from a federal enhanced match of 90% to the standard federal match rate for each state. So here's the thing, is that when the Biden administration and the Democrat Congress passed that passed the act that changed this, that expanded it all the way to a match rate of 90%, now what the One Big Beautiful Bill is doing is it's actually reducing that rate back to what it was prior to that expansion. They also want to remove Section 71201 of the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is limiting Medicare coverage for certain individuals. This provision applied the same Medicaid eligibility restrictions to the Medicare program, again narrowing Medicaid eligibility to lawful permanent residents rather than under the previous broader category of qualified aliens. They also, as a part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, took out Section 71301 and 302, which was permitting the premium tax credit only for certain individuals and disallowing premium tax credit for periods of Medicaid ineligibility due to alien status. So again, all of this was basically just a tightening of the rules in terms of who could actually get Medicaid and Medicare, and how much, in one case, how much was actually going to be matched. This is the section that the Democrats' CR is attempting to remove. They want to remove those key sections. Now, there's some other provisions in the One Big Beautiful Bill that Democrats also want to repeal. So, rolling back Biden-era rules that encouraged continuous coverage, requiring states to cross-check for duplicative enrollment. They want to roll that back. They want to roll back requiring states to conduct more frequently eligibility redeterminations. They want to roll back adding work requirements to Medicaid. They want to roll back strengthening income verification for premium tax credits, including immigration status. And again, they want to roll back disallowing certain special enrollment periods. All of these were aimed at ensuring, of course, that only those who qualify for the program are actually enrolled. And this is all part of the Democrats' continuing resolution, where they literally state they want to take out the subtitle B of Title VII in the One Big Beautiful Act, which covers all of this. That's the point. See, this challenge that was put out by this Facebook account saying, hey, show me in the CR where it says that illegals are going to get benefits. Well, that's a misnomer. It's a misnomer because the CR doesn't actually state that, but the CR by omission, meaning that they want to repeal, they actually are trying to repeal a section of the One Big Beautiful Bill which does eliminate illegals and change everything back to where you could kind of slip through the cracks if you were an illegal. Now, here's one of the biggest problems that we have with having illegals on the payroll. And this was actually brought up by believe it or not, by a nurse. Let me see if I can find it. I had it here. But this was actually brought up by a nurse with regards to this. That, oh, I might have closed it. Ah, shoot. Anyway, this nurse basically pointed out that illegals coming in, first of all, they'll use emergency health care or emergency provision for their basic health care. In fact, many times what an illegal will do is go into the emergency room. The emergency room will actually say, hey, this could have been handled by a primary care provider in a standard clinic office visit. But of course, they can't go to the clinic office visit because they don't have the insurance to cover. So what ends up happening is all of these emergency room visits get tacked onto the costs of the hospital. And the hospital then, in turn, goes back to the government and basically bills them for it. Now, the other piece that this thing does is that the illegals will actually hand over a fake address. So even if a bill does get sent to the illegals, they don't bother paying for it. Or if it happens to be a proper address, they just ignore the bill. Can't go after them if they don't know who they are or what they are. Or you could see, like with the driver's license, they have no name given as their last name. So nobody knows who this person is. And all of this stuff is a part of this entire thing about Medicaid and Medicare. It's all wrapped up in the same group. So to sit here and say that, no, illegals are not getting Medicaid and Medicare under current laws, well, that's only partially true. Because states like California and a few others, they literally have on their state program, they allow illegals to gain health care on their state programs. So what they end up doing is they end up giving all of the state money out and then bilking the federal government for everybody else. See, this isn't about getting people emergency health care. Unlike what a lot of these Democrat proponents who are sitting here trying to fight against or trying to fight for this sit there and tell you all the time. This isn't about getting them basic health care. This is about who is going to pay the money. And it should not be the American taxpayer. Because as I've pointed out multiple times, There's not one single listing in the Constitution that says anything about health care being a responsibility of the federal government. Now, what's even worse about all this is that you can actually take this and take it from today's Schumer shutdown to the failures of Obamacare. See, here's part of the problem, okay? And this is a fact. Maxine Waters of California said Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. Now, keep in mind, they're using a language flip here, because what they're saying is they're demanding health care for everybody, but what they really mean is we're demanding health insurance for everybody, which is essentially a euphemism for universal basic health care. That's what they're looking for. Now, she continues and says, we want to save lives. We want to make sure health care is available to those who would die. Well, no kidding, lady. Of course anybody would be behind that. But the problem is it's not being used for life-saving health care. It's being used for regular health care that you would normally be able to go to a clinic for. Now, Sri Thander, a Democrat out of Michigan, said of the illegal immigrant subsidies, it says, quote, if that means we got to shut this government down, so be it. They want illegals on this. Ro Khanna said, quote, the amount of money that's actually going towards people who are undocumented is such a small portion that Americans should be fine with forking over their tax dollars. No, we are not fine with forking over our tax dollars. You remember the Affordable Health Care Act, which, by the way, that is Obamacare. Obamacare, Affordable Health Care Act, Affordable Care Act, I should say. Affordable Care Act and Obamacare are the exact same thing. Most people think they're actually two different things. They are not. They are the same. The official name is Affordable Care Act, or the ACA. The unofficial name is Obamacare. Now, remember how that was supposed to lower health insurance premiums. And if you wanted your doctor, you could keep your doctor. Do you remember all of that bull crap? Do you remember also that in order to get Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act, passed, that Obama actually shut the government down for 17 days to get it passed? See, many people don't understand the Affordable Health Care Act, or the Affordable Care Act, I should say, I gotta be right on this, actually increased premiums. They don't seem to understand that the Affordable Care Act increased premiums such that, and I gotta find it here. Where is it? Oh, shoot. Anyway, as I was saying here, the Affordable Care Act actually increased everybody's out-of-pocket expenses. They increased, and insurers were rejecting claims. People who had health care before couldn't afford health care after all of the insurance costs increasing. And the reason why they're increasing is literally because of the fact that you're paying for people that will never ever get the money back. Just to give you an idea, in 2024, health insurance premium for the average family carried a price tag of $25,572 per year, while single workers actually paid an average of $8,951, representing a 6 to 7% increase from 2023. Since 2000, the rise in health insurance premiums has outpaced inflation for all but a handful of years. And I can tell you from personal experience that a lot of these insurers are not paying for needed operations. A lot of this is because of the fact that, again, we are subsidizing or paying for the money that is being lost and unrecoverable for all of this. See, healthcare coverage has just increased. Just take a look at this. Here's a graph. It shows you healthcare coverage has increased almost exponentially since 2000. I mean, this is ridiculous. So, as an example here, this is sharing their premiums being on the rise. A worker with family coverage typically is paying premiums of $5,700 per year in 2017, up from about $1,600 in 2000. The average family deductible, the amount paid out of pocket, has increased from $2,500 in 2013 to $3,700 in 2023. I mean, this is ridiculous. And again, as I pointed out, health insurance, they're denying a lot of regular coverage. What used to be covered before is now no longer covered anymore. So denial rates varied considerably by the insurer. Some were as low as 2%, while others were as high as 49%. I can tell you that my insurance company right now is not exactly the best. This is a ridiculous thing for the Democrats to try. This is a ridiculous hill for them to try and basically die on. Now, there's a piece in the Federalist that talks a little bit about how the Republicans could fix Obamacare without the subsidies. And one of the things is to come up with a better solution. Well, that's obvious. I mean, basically, actually, in my opinion, the best solution would be to just get government completely out of healthcare. The third-party payer system, Milton Friedman spoke about it often and said that it was totally ridiculous because the third-party payer system basically has a third-party payer who is using not their money, but your money, and they don't care about the quality of care that you get, which is exactly where we're at. Like I pointed out to you, people are getting less coverage and paying more all at the same time. This is exactly what a third-party payer system does, but this is not at all what we were sold under the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. None of this. Now, here's another idea, which I actually think might, maybe, changing instead of to healthcare insurance being provided by your company, actually make it to where it's privatized, meaning that you yourself can purchase the healthcare and it follows you from job to job, meaning that the people have the coverage, not the employers. That's an interesting thought process. Now, they're claiming, in terms of that kind of an idea, that regulations finalized by the first Trump administration surrounding health reimbursement arrangements should help in this regard. These accounts allow employers to contribute a defined amount each month to help fund a worker's health insurance premium. Unlike other forms of employer-based coverage, with HRAs, the worker, not the employer, owns the policy, so the worker can select the coverage that works best for them. And when the worker leaves the job, he just takes the policy with him. That sounds good. Let's do it just like we do, car insurance. An even better alternative, according to this piece, would be to allow health savings account dollars to pay for health insurance premiums. Okay, maybe. I personally think just deregulate everything. Just get the government out of the health insurance industry at all. Just get rid of it. Bam. It's the sub. You've been gifted a subscription to the channel with the red icon. That's what that means. Anyway, so yeah. And keep in mind that Barack Obama claimed that his health care plan, the Affordable Care Act, would lower premiums for the average American family by as much as $2,500 per year. That hasn't happened, and it's actually increased. It's encouraged a sprawling oligopoly of big insurance, big hospitals, and big medicine that has driven up costs. I mean, when you have Pocahontas or Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, admitting that care has become less affordable, yeah, you know you've lost something, because she is about as dumb as a box of rocks. Folks, this whole shutdown has all the earmarks of Democrats attempting to get essentially a universal healthcare system put into place. And they are using the shutdown, or their ability to block the bills, because again, the Senate needs a 60 vote filibuster majority in order to be able to pass it. They don't have it. They have 5 that they're missing. They have 55 in total right now. They need 5 more. And this is why the Democrats are holding back. And why they're doing this is because of the fact that they don't like the idea that the Obamacare subsidies that were passed by Democrats during COVID under the Biden administration are expiring, because they were emergencies, which I don't even understand why that would have been an emergency. I mean, what was the point? But they did it anyway. And now they're basically attempting to try and hold the government hostage to get what they want taken care of. Now, all the Republicans have to do is just not do anything. Because the Republicans, believe it or not, have actually cornered the Democrats. See, the Democrats right now, they keep trying to say, oh, this is a Trump shutdown, this is a Trump shutdown, but it's not. It's not even close. It's not even close. Because even when they sit here and, learn or try to get the Republicans on board for all of this, it's the Republicans, all they have to do is just hold. They just have to hold. They don't really have to do anything. Because the longer this goes on and the more this fight goes on, and believe me, this has nothing to do with the millions of people who are, not on Obamacare or not on Medicaid and Medicare, which again, keep in mind, by tightening up the restrictions and getting some of those people off who are not supposed to be there, regardless of how they got on there, all that's going to do is make the healthcare just a little bit more affordable. But this also sets up for a situation where the president can actually start cutting people off. So this is a dangerous game that the Democrats are basically playing with this. So, yeah. I don't know where Chuck Schumer gets off on thinking that this is like the best way to do this. I don't get it. I don't understand. He's painted himself into a corner, and that the sale of, hey, this is the Republican shutdown, that's not necessarily true. And nobody with any sense in America is actually paying attention to that at all with this entire situation. All right, so really quickly in the final minutes here, I just want to run through. The Supreme Court has started their new session this week. Some of the top cases that they have on the docket. Trump tariffs. So this one has to deal with the legality of the Trump tariffs. Now, Trump invoked emergency powers to impose reciprocal tariffs on almost all countries. Several of the federal courts have ruled that those tariffs went beyond what the law allowed. Under the Constitution, Congress has the power to impose tariffs, but it can also delegate this authority to the president. And Trump administration argues that the law, called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, authorizes the president to impose tariffs through a provision that grants the president the power to regulate importation. So, yeah. This has been kind of back and forth, and so the Supreme Court has set a oral argument for November 5th. The next one is the removal of high-level bureaucrats. And this has been kind of a flip-flopping sort of thing here. But high-profile firings, Trump had the federal court system to revisit a 90-year-old Supreme Court precedent. In 1935, there was a decision in Humphrey's Executor versus the United States that held that Congress can set limits on the president's ability to remove certain officials. However, that isn't quite how the Constitution says. Now, the Supreme Court recently agreed to one of the cases challenging, in particular, the Trump's firing of a member of the Federal Trade Commission. And so, yeah, we're just going to have to kind of see where this goes. And according to the 1935 decision, the court said that Congress could restrict the president's removal of the Federal Trade Commission board members in particular because they served a, quote, quasi-legislative or quasi-judicial role. Now, these exact definitions of those terms remain uncertain at this point. They also said, the Supreme Court also said on October 1st that it would hear oral arguments in January over Trump's attempt to fire Federal Reserve Board of Governors member Lisa Cook as well. So, there's that. There is also a case that is up for review as well, that it has to deal with girls' athletics. Two of the states, Idaho and West Virginia, are expected to appear before the Supreme Court in this term to defend the legality of their policies on no boys being allowed to operate in girls' sports. That is slated. Yeah, there's no date set for that hearing. Obviously, the redistricting thing is coming up. So Louisiana redrew its map. And several people, of course, sued. Civil rights groups, etc. Plaintiffs argue that it was done to dilute black voting power in Louisiana, that it violated the Voting Rights Act, which is what happened with Texas. That's why Texas had to redistrict. People seem to forget that. That case is going to be argued on October 15th because that was put on hold, remember. That one's coming back. Let's see. What else is there? Hawaii's gun restrictions is on the docket. So, yeah. We'll see how that one goes. And... oh, there's a one on the docket for campaign spending. That one's going to be interesting to watch. And then some other Trump cases are also on it. But anyway, there you go. All right. That is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Tomorrow night is Whiskey Wednesday. I do not have a pet of the week, so if you've got one and you want to get it in, send it in now. I'll get it on, hopefully, for tomorrow. No pet of the week for tomorrow, otherwise. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.